All right, good morning. Get going here. Market is starting out similar to yesterday, just doing nothing here. Just waiting for some news, something to worry about. Um, can you hear me now, Rich? Should be able to hear me. Everybody hear me? Good, good. Okay, thank you. So yesterday was the resting day that we thought would occur. The futures yesterday morning, you could see how they were doing absolutely nothing. And then we got kind of the wiggles and a little rally and down. So some movement intraday, but on the daily chart, it ended up the way we thought it would be a consolidation day. So markets are waiting now. I guess a couple of things, some news to come out, more information to assure that the Fed won't do anything in June. Dip for whatever reason to buy at lower prices. And not much lower, but coming down maybe into this gap fill or so. I mentioned about the breadth and sentiment. Now, just based on this breadth being down here at this lower level for an extended amount of time and coming up here, really wasn't so concerned about these just getting to the initial points of a bearish extreme. And I'm still not, but combining that with what has advanced, meaning, tech stocks, NASDAQ. I mean, that's an extended chart on a short-term basis. You can see the closeness of the moving averages here were very nice. And then as this starts to move, and then it accelerated there. So, it even made a little move above the prior pivot high. So just the market just needs a little normal correction. And probably through here, it may be a little bit more correction through price, where the S&Ps and other things that haven't moved as much will be more of a choppy type of correction. Could be a whippy down day and then back up again. And so maybe by, I guess, Thursday's a jobs report, maybe the market is looking for that. How do you define normal? Well, look, we use these terms and you're asking me quantify that so you can use it in the future. I get it. And so over time, just looking at trends that develop, the way this was advancing, one of the things is that, look, the moving averages are tight together. So the move is just beginning. This dipped down, it tightened up, the moving averages are coming together. Of course, you could look at the prices. This was like a little downside shakeout, is what we call it. Some might call it some kind of a head and shoulders bottom, which it's not, but look, we call it a shakeout because it spiked down and it came right back up again, and then it went sideways. So the moving averages are relatively close together. And you have pivot highs and pivot lows opposing each other. That's a picture of indecision. Now, as the ranges on whatever the time frame you're looking at, the ranges begin to tighten up. So what happened here, the ranges are wider and you got wider swings between pivots. When institutions and traders now start to feel more confident, the ranges begin to tighten up and you don't even get pivots because it doesn't move very far. And so as prices begin to advance, as they did here, they get a little extended away from the 20 MA. And then they begin to pull back toward the 20 MA. So this is a healthy advance. And then a quick, oh, we're afraid, of what's been going on here. So traders sell right away. is a picture of climbing the wall of worry, that adage, the market's climbing a wall of worry. What does that look like? Well, it kind of looks like this. It advances sharply, it pulls back relatively shallow toward minor support, and it begins to pivot again, turning up. Buyers step up aggressively on the pullback. Now it got further extended. So when we talk about slowing momentum, we see the distance between the runs get closer together. Now the distance between the runs are relatively equal, right? So this is a good run. You got a slowing momentum candle yesterday, a small candle body. I don't know what you want to call it. We don't care. It's a little bitty topping tail, but it's a smaller range with a small body. It just means momentum stalled. Now, does it break that day's low? And so that's the day. And we see what prices. I don't even know if this updates pre-market. Probably doesn't. The Qs are probably better example for doing this. But as this stalls, maybe it begins to pull back again. And so you get a little bit of more of a correction, and then the next advance starts. And let's just look at the Qs for now and see where they're at. And more of this back and forth doing nothing, and unchanged, small candle body up there. And so this move began. Remember, our moving averages are used as visual aids. Some people maybe like to use an indicator, reading momentum. They're dealing with different settings. We just have our simple moving averages. Oh, it got further away from the moving average. That was even stronger than this one. Here, things were flat. The moving averages were tight together. So that's the beginning of an advance. Then you look to the left and you say, okay, it's a little, I can see on the weekly, it's a little extended. It needs to correct a bit. It's not all the way up here yet. It's likely to go there, but maybe it needs to pull back to the 340 area. So that would be normal on the weekly time frame, and buyers to step up again. And so it looks all good, Now, some of these down moves, maybe in individual stocks, might look a little like, oh my God, what's going on? But let's see, you look at the market and you look at individual stocks, and the ups and downs, the timing of them may be the same, but they don't necessarily have to look exactly the same. One of the things historically from here, this didn't get that high, but sometimes as a timing guide, a correction where this pulls back toward the zero line would be timing where the markets could, be ready to turn back up again. But we'll see how that plays out over the coming days. They're just sharing that information, and we'll see if it actually happens. So right now, these markets, the upside, just based on these patterns, are limited. The downside, or at least a correction sideways of some type, but some downside correction, is probable, but it shouldn't get out of hand. So it's kind of like, do you sit on your hands here? Well, there's plenty of individual stocks that'll have their own kind of, patterns, and that'll be tradable. Things that we talked about a week ago that were beaten down that could begin to bottom out, like, Target, which it did bounce last week, and then yesterday it was down a bit and it's trying to regain its footing. Starbucks. And, so there's different stocks out there that were really pounded during the corrective process as that we look at in Timus. Yeah, Telephone. I see Telephone got upgraded today. But, during this down move, there were plenty of stocks that were really getting beat up that could have their catch-up trades and some bounces. So, here's the spiders with that correction day. No big deal. Didn't even get near prior day's low. It's just consolidating up there. Scrolling over there, you got to go pretty far over. I can't get to it on the hourly chart, So you can see there's a little bit of extension here for prices to dip down into, and we got our little green box there as a guide for prices to pull into. So everything looks okay, but just not ready for resuming any kind of advance just yet. Needs to pull back or correct a little bit to where, institutions feel more comfortable. Just come down into this little area here where we can pick up some shares, tights relatively, stops relatively tight. And, the jobs report will come out. I guess it's Thursday. And so there'll be some more inflation news where the markets can fire up on that or, hoop out, whatever it's going to do. Right. All right. SPX gets tighter and tighter, but it doesn't hit the levels, so it's a little bit unnerving, but, waiting a little bit to see which way it'll go. So the average ranges are around, they're contracting a little bit, about 48 points now. And so that's what this is, 48 points up and down from yesterday's close, and it's not moving much on a gap. So 4230, 4300, and see 40. Let me see what did he write? 4230, JCAS, same thing. Like the 4300 had, what was it, about 80 by 90 or so. And 4305 was 60 by 70. And the midpoint, obviously 65. And if you went to 4320, which was 15 by 25, is it worth it doing it for 40 cents? Kind of the way things are at right now. Where can you get maybe a little further away, get on the other side of the whole number? Yeah, it's like there you go. So I've said it a few times now, it just doesn't have the no-brainer things that there were not too long ago. So I would think the upside is somewhat limited unless some news drives it, but to come down here, it's possible it wouldn't negate this upward move, but for one day, I guess it would be kind of a big move. So, you make your choice which way you have it. Maybe wait a little bit to see if it flips one way or the other, and whatever premium, you need a little bit more surgical than what it used to be. All right. 13 weeks staying up there, 10-year, not doing much of anything. Maybe market's waiting for the next shoe to drop on this crypto thing. Can you believe this? This next company, the biggest one, guy's ripping stuff off, doing the same thing as the other guy. You'd have think he'd have cleaned his act up when the other guy got locked up. 250 gamma level, more call delta, and put delta. So 4250. Meaning above that has the potential to accelerate. 4250. And which strikes? What how many days to expiration are you talking, McGraw? Across expiration. So from here to the expiration this month, you're saying 4250 has a cluster there. I see out 10 days out, it's 33,000. Here. See, software can make it easy to look at that, whereas, I'd have to go and look at it manually and see what it is and kind of see that. But All right. Well, it does have a void. So at 4250, and it always ends up this way. These gamma levels, 40 through 50 is right here. And if it got into that void, it could run up here, but it would get stopped at 4,300. You're looking to sell 4240. So down below. So you're a little more bullish and thinking prices can go up because of that gamma up there will drag it up there. That's interesting. Well, let's see. Let's discuss that and see what happens. Your heads up about the 4,300 call options worked out yesterday, increasing that you shared in the green room. And then we talked about the bottoming action in the futures, and it was a bumpy ride, but eventually it did go up there. So it wasn't like it was going to be a magnet to rip up there, and then it wind up coming back down after getting there. So all right, I'm just moving on here. Some of these gamma, delta, vega conversations can get pretty deep, and some of it's interesting, some of it's bending. All right, Russell pulling in a little bit after the breakout. KBE was coming in, so that was not terribly, but on an intraday basis, you saw it was trending down, and that had an effect. And we got Bitcoin. What's that doing there? Starting to break lower. I guess people trying to think about what the hell they're going to do, get their money tied up. But the winners, SMH, that's extended. Look at the distance, to the moving average there. That could pull back quite a bit and really not do any damage. But that pullback could be, on a 1 or 2 day basis, be pretty big. But that's going to be an opportunity to buy them. Jets, things rested. Looks fine. We looked at that yesterday. It looks fine. GLD, rolling over, dollar. It's just flip-flopping around here, back and forth. Crude oil, we got the news, the Saudis going to cut whatever, but look, it gapped up, came back in again, it's doing nothing. There's a lot of indecision right now. So, there was indecision yesterday. Things moved around a bit. There's indecision today. Pick your things carefully and, either have a longer term bias with wider stops and stick these things and see how everything kind of comes together to add. You can sit on the sidelines. You can do micro scalps, but, know what you're going to do and don't react to the moment and then not in the plan. All yours, Dan.
Good morning.
Got an echo.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah, yesterday we got a resting day, which is exactly what I wanted for these to set up continuation patterns, let the market rest. So the big news this morning, at least in the crypto world, is this coin Greg started talking about. And you know what, I agree in this case with the SEC. All they're wanting is for them to register as a broker dealer. These things are unregulated, and the SEC gets yelled at for, oh, look at all I lost all my money. Where's the government to protect me? Well, guess what? If you're an unregulated entity doing whatever the hell you want offshore, the SEC doesn't have any jurisdiction except to do what the SEC just did. You sue them to cease and desist. So that's major news today. And then the Binance, I was reading a little about the crime and everything. You don't know where your money is. And so I'm agreeing with this move for investor protection. Regulate. Go through the brain damage of being a broker dealer with your accounts, with a record keeping, with capital requirements, etc. So that, the whole sector is going to get whacked here today. I posted Mr. as a call spread candidate. Trading range, breakout failure up here under the 20 and the 50, wide range bar. So it looks like there were a number of people who, Binance came out yesterday with their, SEC came out with their news about going after Binance, and that's what caused this thing. Had one of us talked more about the Binance thing yesterday, I think it would have been a natural inclination to say, well, coin's next. Let's buy puts on coin. But nothing we can do now. All right, a couple of earnings here. McGraw, this was the only one I considered selling a put spread. The options were massive on this GTLB. This is all-time low. McGraw actually did, when we kind of our go-to tool for speculating directionally into options is debit credit spreads. And McGraw did exactly that, which is buying one call, which is expensive as heck into earnings. But then we sell another out of the money call to lower the cost basis of that long call. So McGraw, good job. You're getting paid for your bias today. Another, I'd call it a bottoming pattern over here. I'd call it more of a continuation now. Let me set an alarm on this one new trade I posted. Another example of something on its own page that if it breaks out, it looks great. Look at GFF here. So, as Greg was saying, and as I always say, I like to trade with the broader market, but there's things on its own page. So I would much rather trade this as a new trade than the broader markets. So this is a bullish 1, 2, 3 after a little downside shakeout, and it looks great. Let me set an alarm. 34. But if the market's falling, then I'll hit the pause button. Let's check out these other earnings. Kerbal. Wow, $90. Wow. I'm going to put that on my list of excessive gap. Excessive gap. Let's see where it might stabilize. This LI was on my list from yesterday. My up alarm went off. Look, it's gapping over yesterday's high. So 30-minute high, that's an idea. S wave, my alarm just went off. I see one print up here. This could have been a head and shoulders, but it refused to break. Closing breakout, uptrend above the 50. So that's a long watch. Target up to 300. Well, McGraw, you know what's funny you say that, because on CNBC, their little ticker thing, it said their revenues are down, but they made money on AI. And that's exactly what you and I were talking about yesterday. Just say AI. It doesn't matter if you make picnic baskets for a living or alarm clocks. The Pavlov dog of investors that's where we're at right now. All right, ABM, I don't see any prints. Wow, I use the saying, it gives me a headache. Looking at overlapping bars, that's just disgusting the way it trades, but it's a now earnings gap breakout. So let's see if we can sell a put spread on it. this, no volume. Light volume gapping down, no interest, SJM. 30-minute high, maybe a long idea, but I can find better. All right, Sienna started out bullish. Look, 49 and change. Wow, that's a big gap down now. Man, oh man, 650. That's a 15% swing here pre-market. Let me put that in this bottom right. Holly in the middle chart. This one's not earnings, but this is a gap breakout. Look, it's gapping there. So that's kind of ideal. Let's see what it does in the first 30 minutes. CHS gapping down. Don't like the way it trades though. 87. There's a gap breakout of a bottoming pattern. So on a pullback, let's watch that for a put spread. Put that in a window. Oh, that looks great for a put spread, but I'm not going to even look for a couple minutes here. 8 a.m. my alarm went off. You know, consolidation trading range breakout candidate. Z Fizzler weak. My low alarm went off. Yeah, we're market continuing its weakness here. So I am not interested in new longs right now. I'll just set alarms. CPRT alarm just went off. This was on our list from yesterday. This is a bull rectangle or small ascending triangle. Sorry, Deb. So let's come back to this 30-minute high. CPRT looks great. All right, Holly, the gap's too big now. Kerbal is in pain. The S wave I mentioned, APP. Here we go. This is a fantastic 1, 2, 3 for tomorrow. I know, Alex, you got into it yesterday and I put it on my list, but I'm going to set an alarm at 2580. No longs for me. We still got a void on the hourly charts, cracking 15-minute support, pretty ugly on the 4 horsemen. But I don't mind setting alarms, 2580. Globe up alarm. We entered a third lot yesterday. See, look, I had an alarm at 37. Look, and it just tagged it. But wow, now I don't like the smackdown.
Yeah, they're gonna go lower.
What?
They're gonna go lower.
I know. That's why I said no longs. I'm playing defense here. All right, Globe set a new alarm. We did a third lot as a core long yesterday.
I shorted a yes with a stop above the 60-minute bar that's not done. Got a topping pattern. It's got a room to fall.
Look at this poor Hib. This is one that I'm just going to watch for a while. It's gotten its clock clean. It's a Climo, but they're, use the term turn. No turn in this thing. It's still in a nasty power downtrend. Tesla is a call spread candidate. My alarm just went off. Let me see what the juice bar is, 222 or higher. Not bad, Greg. What about 225?
Second.
What?
I was answering somebody's question. Social media is still on. I'll just tell him. Delta 20, that CI Cigna Group, that's not a pro gap. That's a novice gap. It's gapping up after 4 days up into an area of resistance.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't get to your pre-market, oh, no, you, never mind. All right. Alarm went off. Globe Z. All right, I got all my alarms. No, here, GFF alarm just went off. Let's hold off on this just because of the market, but let's change it to 30-minute high. Give it more time. Nothing wrong, Stephen. No, but Stephen, listen to me. There's actually absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, Greg does the same when, some guy on CNBC says something ridiculous, and then if an alarm goes off, you can say, oh, Alex said whatever at this level. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. All right, so Greg, Tesla call spread 225,
Yeah, I know it's extended.
but I don't like your tone.
No, because I'm not looking at it directly, but I know it, the momentum stalled yesterday and it's at resistance.
All right, so see, this is one of these judgment calls. This looks fantastic, but it's going on its own against the market. Alex, your Lima, India. I mentioned pre-market, my alarm went off.